How much do you think a university student in Canada should spend a month? It is an interesting thing to know that the monthly expenses for a university student in Canada can vary very widely depending on three factors. And those factors are the city where you live, the kind of your lifestyle, and your personal preferences. Welcome. My name is Akings. In today's video, I am going to dive deep into the detailed monthly expenses for a university student in Canada. Whether you are planning to study in one of the bustling cities in Canada or you want to move to a quieter neighborhood, budgeting your finances wisely is very critical before you migrate to any country. So as a student, you will not be stuck along your journey. In today's video, I have outlisted 7 things I'm going to show you in this video, which will definitely help you to plan yourself financially before you can think of migrating to study in Canada. When you put all the 7 things I'm going to show you in this video, it will definitely help you to navigate as you study in Canada. So if you're excited, just like I am, let's dive into what we have for the day. Before I proceed, guys, I want to use this opportunity to appreciate and say hello to all my amiable subscribers. You guys are wonderful. I really appreciate you, and may God bless you for subscribing. But for those that are yet to subscribe, yet you do watch my content, please don't forget to subscribe, like this video, comment, and don't forget to turn your ring back icon notification so that you'll be notified when I upload any content like this. Before I proceed, all you need to do is to stick around. Don't skip the video, because the 7 things I'm going to show you, they are very essential if you really want to migrate to Canada as a university student. Moving on, before I give you the number 1 I have on my list, I want to let you know that moving to Canada is one of the best things that can happen to anybody who wants to migrate to Canada. But when you want to migrate to Canada carelessly without making a financial planning, there is every tendency as a student you may likely be stuck along the way financially. And the 7 things I'm going to show you on this video, when you plan very carefully and wisely, it is going to help you to make your financial budgeting and planning very carefully so that you will not become a financial burden to yourself, to the neighborhood where you are going to live, to your school, and even to your sponsors. So don't skip this video, watch it from the beginning to the end, and you are going to get all the information you need at your fingertips as you prepare to migrate to Canada as a university student in 2024. The number 1 I have on my list is accommodation. First thing first, as a student who have been admitted in one of the schools in Canada, after you might have paid all your tuition fees and every other necessary fees you need to pay as an admitted student, the next thing that should be on your priority list should be your accommodation, right? This is because one of the biggest expenses you will face as a student in Canada is accommodation. There are several options for accommodation. However, each of the accommodation has its own cost range. Hence, you need to plan yourself and decide which of them you are going for. On the area of accommodation, I'm going to split it into 2 parts where you will see on-campus housing and off-campus housing. Starting with the number 1, which is the on-campus housing or on-campus accommodation, you should know that every institution or universities include residence halls and dormitories. And one good thing about these residence halls and dormitories is that they are very convenient as they are close to your classes and other campus facilities. If you want to go for on-campus housing, you should budget between the range of 500 to 1,200 Canadian dollars per month. But the determinant factor of how much you are going to pay, whether it is going to be up to 1,200 or less than 500 Canadian dollar per month, is dependent on the university and the type of room you are going for. When you want to go for on-campus housing, the on-campus housing is also splitted into three as well, where you see a shade rooms which are basically cheaper than other rooms. You also going to see a single room and suites. You are going to make your choice which of them you are likely to go for depending on how large your purse is. If you want to go for shade room are usually cheaper because you are going to share a room with at least three, four, five, or sometimes six persons, depending on the nature of the room. And if you are going for single room, you are likely to share your either toilet or bathroom with other neighbors, right? And if you're going for single room, there's every possibility that you are going to share either your bathroom or your toilet with another person. Okay, so you need to plan very carefully on which of them you want to go for. And if your purse is large enough, you can go for suite. That is, you go for studio apartment where you will be using your own toilet and you'll be using your own bathroom as well. So make your budget carefully and wisely and know what you are going for. On the area of off-campus housing, this one is much more diversified because there are several options which you can go for. You can rent a room in a shared house or possibly get an apartment with roommates. Or if your purse is large, as I said earlier, you can likely go for a studio apartment. And remember that any of the accommodation you are going for has a clause attached to it. This is because the rent prices may vary very significantly depending on the city or neighborhood. I am going to break it down for you so that you will get the information of what you may likely expect when you migrate to Canada as a university student. The essence of breaking it down is for you to make your choice before you relocate to Canada as a university student. In some major cities like Toronto and Vancouver, the rent there may be a bit higher compared to some medium-sized cities like Calgary or Ottawa. And Ottawa or Calgary may likely be higher than smaller cities like Victoria and Halifax. So you see that the more you move to the city, the more you are likely going to pay a higher rent. So when you come to a city like Toronto and Vancouver, rent for a shared apartment can range between 700 to 1,500 or 600 Canadian dollar per month. And a studio apartment might cost you between 1,200 to at least 2,000 Canadian dollars per month. So you are going to check this. If you are going for studio apartment or you are going for shared apartment as a university student, when you live within Toronto or Vancouver or any of those big cities, you can check which of the accommodation is best for you. For those that may likely move to a medium-sized cities like Calgary, Edmonton, or Ottawa, a shared apartment there can range between 700 to 1,200 Canadian dollars. You see that the more you move to suburban area, the less you are likely to pay accommodation fee. But if you want to move to a smaller towns or neighborhood like Halifax or Victoria, there is every tendency that you may likely get an apartment that ranges between 600 to 1,000 Canadian dollars. And if you want to go for a studio apartment, you are likely going to pay a bit higher, where it may range between 800 to at least 1,300 Canadian dollars. So on the area of your accommodation, you need to check whether you are going for on-campus apartment or you are going for off-campus accommodation. And any of them you are going for, you may decide whether you are going for a shared apartment or you are going for single room or you are going for a studio apartment. All right, so all of them has pros and cons attached to it. There are websites that you can visit if you are looking for off-campus housing, and some of these sites are very popular. They will likely help you to find a better place where you can rent and have your own accommodation. And one of the sites where you can search for off-campus accommodation, the number one is Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace is a good place where you can find a local renters in Canada. So you can check them at facebookmarketplace.com, and possibly you may likely find what you are looking for. The number two website you can visit is padmapper.com. The number three website you can check is kijiji.ca. It is also a good website if you are looking for off-campus housing. Another good website you can visit is University Housing Services. Many universities have their own off-campus housing listing, so you can check University Housing Services to see if there's any available off-campus housing, or you can visit your university website and see if they have any off-campus housing listing. That will also help you to get accommodation in Canada. The number two I have on my top list is feeding. You can put it in quotes, grocery stores and dining out. As a student, after you have paid your tuition fees and every other necessary fees, you have gotten your accommodation. The next thing you need to prioritize on your list is your feeding. And here you may decide whether you are going to be cooking or making meals yourself, or whether you are going to be dining out occasionally. This will decide how much you are likely going to spend in a month as a university student in Canada. For groceries, students may typically spend between 200 to 400 Canadian dollars per month. But if you are the type that likes dining out, you eat outside occasionally, you don't know how to prepare your own meal, there's every tendency that you may likely spend more money than those who are making meals themselves, right? Before I go to the number three I have on my list, guys, if you watch this video up to this point but you have not subscribed, help me subscribe. I trust you that you can help me to move from 33 subscriber to 100 subscriber before the end of this month. I trust you can do that. Thank you as you subscribe, and let's move on to the next number. The number three I have on my list is transportation. Guys, whether you like it or not, transportation is going to eat your money in Canada. As a university student, you are going to spend on transportation. You need to budget at least between 50 to 100 Canadian dollars per month. Reason being that some cities offer discount for university students. So you are likely going to pay a little amount of money as a student when you are on a public transit. For you to get your pass, they are going to deduct their own money, then you have access to the facilities. Also, you can decide whether you are going to be using a public transit, or you are going to be biking, or you are going to own your own car. And remember, whether you are going for public transit, you are going for biking, or you are going for car, there is still a clause attached to it. Okay? If you are the type who likes biking, you can actually go for biking. It is going to save you a lot of money on the area of transportation. Whether you are going to your working place or you are going to your campus, you can use your bike right to your school and to your working places. Believe me, you are going to save a whole lot of money. For those who want to go for car, that is, you want to own your own car, there is a big clause attached to it, because you are going to spend a whole lot of money every month. Possibly you need to budget between 200 to at least 700 or less per month. Reason being that you are going to buy gas for your car, you're going to pay for insurance, and you are not going to be parking anywhere anyhow for free. You are going to be paying for your parking, and here lies the wisdom. If you want to own a car, you plan yourself ahead, whether you are to own a car, or you are going to be using public transit, or you are going to get your own bike so that you'll be biking to everywhere you are going to. The next one I have on my list is utilities. When you have settled your accommodation, you have settled your feeding, you have settled your transportation, the next thing you need to think about is your utilities. This is because utilities is something you cannot do without, whether you like it or not. Sometimes, if you are lucky, your accommodation may cover some utilities. But if your rent doesn't include utilities, you need to budget for it. At least you get between $60 to $100 per month. This will cover your electricity bills, your water bills, and your heating bills. These things you cannot do without them, whether you like it or not. And also, you need to budget for internet, and you need to budget for mobile phone subscription. For your internet, you can budget between, let's say, 20 to 60 or $70 per a month. This will help you not to be cut off the internet because you need access to the internet. And for your mobile phone subscription plans, you can budget between 40 to $70 per month. So all these things, you need to prioritize them on your list before you start making your plan to Japan as a student who is moving to Canada. The next one I have on my list is books and supplies. Books and supply is one of the essential things you should look out for as a university student, and you should also budget for it as well. At least you should set aside some little amount of money that can be taken care of all those stuffs, like budget between 60 to 90 or 100 Canadian dollars per month for your books and supplies. However, you can cut costs in all the things I have mentioned so far. Here lies the wisdom. You may decide to be going for used books or digital version of any book you are going for. Nobody stops you from using that as a student. So you can go for that, and believe me, you are going to cut a real cost as regards this. Instead of wasting your money going for new books all the time, you can go for used books or digital version of the books. Pay a little for it and get your book supplied to you. The next one I have on my list is personal expenses. This area is also very crucial as you make your plan. After you have sorted out other things I have mentioned, here you need to take care of yourself. As a student, you're going to be buying clothes, you're going to be taking care of yourself, and sometimes you are going to be going for some social activities like you hang out with friends, you go to party. So all these things you are going to budget wisely, you plan ahead of time so that you are not going to be stalked. You don't use money for this and pay for that. For your personal expenses, you should budget between 60 to 200 Canadian dollars per month. But in this place, there is a big clause. The reason is because the amount of money you are going to spend on your personal expenses, that is taking care of yourself, getting your personal care items, and going for entertainment and some other stuffs like that, is dependent on the kind of lifestyle you live. Even all the things I have mentioned so far, the determinant factor of how much you are going to spend, whether you spend more or spend less on the estimate I made so far, is dependent on your kind of lifestyle. So if you are someone who likes to party, you are likely going to spend more than someone who doesn't party all the time. The last I have on my list is miscellaneous expenses. But before I move on, I still want to appeal. If you have not subscribed, please don't forget to subscribe. And also, you can drop your opinion on the comment section what you think about monthly expenses anyone can expect as a university student in Canada, and let's have a discussion on that. On the aspect of miscellaneous expenses, as a student, sometimes there are some tiny, tiny things you are going to be spending on, unexpected costs. So you need to budget for all those small, small, minor, minor purchases you are going to be making most of the times unknowingly. All right, so you need to budget for it. At least you can get between 50 to 100 Canadian dollar. Just set it aside that this particular amount of money is for the unexpected minor, minor expenses or purchases that you need to take care of. So, guys, here are the Detailed expenses is just an estimate though that you need to make every month as a university student if you want to study in Canada. To sum it all, when you check what I have said so far, you will discover that the total estimated monthly expenses you are likely to expect in Canada as a university student can range between 1,400 to, let's say, 3,000 Canadian dollars a month. But the determinant factor of how much you are going to spend is dependent on your lifestyle, the city you live, and your personal preferences. Hence, you may spend less or you may spend higher than what I have estimated so far. You can go to the comment box, tell us your own opinion, but remember, these are just an estimate. The actual amount of money you may likely spend in Canada as a university student may vary very drastically. It could be very high or it could be very low depending on the factors I have mentioned so far, like the city or the neighborhood where you live, your pattern of lifestyle, and your personal preferences. All these things are the determinant factor of how much you are going to spend, whether it is going to be between the range of 1,500 in a month or it's going to be up to 3,000 Canadian dollars in a month. So guys, you need to make your planning and budget wisely, and this will definitely help you to make most of your university experience in Canada. And don't forget to drop your opinion. Don't forget to like this video if you have not liked. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I am dedicated to giving you the legit information about jackpotting out of your country in seek of greener pasture, and how you can study abroad, and every scholarships and all the job opportunity I lay my hands on that I can share with you. Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and see you on my next video.